All right. It's recorded. Yes. Okay. Take 3. All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is James Whitehead. I'm CEO Director at Digital Classifieds Laos. We're the owners and operators of Laos leading real estate platforms, HighRise, Banlao.la. HighRise is also the leading online market across all categories. So I've actually tried to record this a few times. I've taken too long. So I'm going to really fly through this stuff now. Just quickly, Nok Noi, the COO of Banlao.la, she's joining the event today. So please reach out to Nok Noi after the speeches have finished if you have any real estate questions or you're looking for real estate in Laos. Okay, thank you. Digital Classifieds Group, quick summaries here. So we're focused on emerging markets. We're based in Melbourne, Australia. I'm actually from New Zealand though. I've been in Laos for 3 years. We purchased HighRise about 4 years ago. It's been the leading platform in Laos since 2012. We're also in Cambodia, Fiji, Papua New Guinea, Mongolia, and Nepal. We also run the leading real estate event. We've got a show in Laos on December 4, 5, and 6, Homes, Loans, and Lifestyle Expo at the NCC building. You might see our ads. Make sure you come along. We're expecting 10,000 guests over 3 days. All right, let's get straight into the topic because I don't want to talk too long. So what I'm going to talk about today are the key trends influencing the residential real estate market in Laos. Firstly, I'm going to talk about landed residential property development and what's been happening and what I think is going to happen in the next 1 to 5 years. We're going to have a quick talk about the apartments market and how this apartments market is shifting towards foreign investment and allowing more structured investments that foreign developers and also foreign end buyers can be a part of now. And this is a change that we're seeing right now. And I think it's coming alongside the land law, which other people are going to be speaking about, which is great. I'm going to quickly mention something about the Chinese and how the Chinese are coming and how they might affect the real estate market. I'm not so focused on special economic zones or concessions or anything like this at this moment. Manufacturing, commercial investments, let's just leave that to one side. We're focusing on residential investment. Then I'm going to touch on a few remaining issues in the market that really need to be solved if we want to see big foreign investment in real estate in Laos. Okay, but I won't talk too much about that because other speakers are going to. All right, firstly, landed residential property market development rising. So what we are seeing is urbanisation at the moment. We're seeing more and more Lao moving towards economic corridors, looking for opportunities to make liquid money, as opposed to staying in the village. So what this is driving is the need for affordable housing near economic centres, where traditionally only the elite and the government class were living near these centres. Now we need accommodation that can house an emerging middle class, right? Plot land developments are starting to flourish. So we're seeing the start of this in terms of developers grabbing a big piece of land, subdividing it and selling it to the end buyer with some sort of finance. So allowing people to enter the property market at a low level. This is happening. Take a drive around Don Mackay to see this in the flesh. So at the moment, the government buildings have been shifted back in the city near Don Mackay. We see the private developers going crazy out here, carving up the land, selling it in digestible pieces to the end buyers who need to live in this area moving forward. The next step in this chain is the landed residential property developers. So buying these larger tracts of land and developing a property offering or plan that local buyers can buy the land plus the house at the same time at a good price, good quality. However, this is where the market's got a bit stuck because foreign investors can't get involved with these projects where they normally would to assist in the quality, to assist in the economies of scale on the price. But due to land issues, security issues, and financing issues, this has been stunted and a lot of these projects are falling over. At the point where these projects are falling over, because of these issues, it goes back to the plot land sellers. And then what we're seeing is hundreds and hundreds of subcontracting companies who work with the private landowner to design one house and build that house for them. But this is what's happening in the market at the moment. This is where the real estate growth is happening with these private subcontracting constructors building residential homes for people, but this is not efficient. It's much more efficient to get that land together and have one developer build 300 units and you're going to have a better quality, a better price, and a better standard of living with people within that project. We're not there yet because of the issues, right? Trends in Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia suggest that once these these property developers can reach that equilibrium where the quality is right, the location right, the price is right, and they can get the financing for the buyers, people aren't going to build their own houses anymore. They're going to move to the projects to get the better quality of life, the better offering, and a better resale offering as well, a better rental offering moving forward because they've created a community, right? So I imagine we're going to see this trend coming hard and fast. Already we've seen the start of it. So these are windows. These are $90,000 townhouses, not far in the city. And these are selling very well. Started with 10 units. I'll just show you the front of it so you can see what it looks like. Started with just 10 units, and this developer had enough funding to build 70% completion before they started selling. So this gave the buyers trust. Not all these developers have enough money to do that, but these guys did. Another good example is Land and House. These guys are a developer who came over from Thailand. These guys are on their second, third or fourth phase. They've sold hundreds and hundreds of off-plan houses, starting from $50,000 with financing. So again, they created a model in Thailand. They were managed to pull over the border with the right financing behind them, the right funding, and they've been very successful. But alongside these successful cases, there's been many projects that have fallen over, okay? And we're not so focused on them because I don't want to name names, but there's been a lot of these projects have tried to launch in Laos. They've been successful in other markets like Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, but have fallen over in Laos because of land security issues or financing issues. We hope that these guys can fix these little things and this market's going to take off. Next trend is around apartments and condos. So just quickly, traditionally apartment development in VNTN and other major centres have been driven by local developers. So families who understand that building an apartment is a good way to generate a rental income from foreigners, right? But this has worked to an extent, but these developers are now believing that it will always work in any situation, any price, and any demand. This is not the case. So although these apartments keep popping up around town, the occupancy rates are not rising dramatically, and a lot of these owners are holding the prices too high and they're not filling them up. So people are going back to live in villas or cheaper apartments and leaving these ones empty. But often these owners are so rich that they don't really care it's sitting there unoccupied, but that doesn't reflect the healthy apartments market. So at the moment, in general, there's an oversupply, but what we're seeing is that in certain areas, certain locations, yes, there is specific demand and there is a need for more supply. For example, around VIS, Panyativ International Schools. This area is seeing congestion already. There's a lot of unique reasons to live in this area, and apartment developers can continue to build in this area and be successful at the same prices. But they can't count on this across the city, and at the moment they are. So we're going to see an oversupply from the local developers because they're not quite reacting to the demand of the market. But the reason why foreign investors haven't been involved in the apartment market so far is because there's no way for them to monetize the apartment investment and resell and able to stimulate some income for that project as they're building. So because they haven't been able to sell apartments off plan to a foreign investor at the same time as renting, they have to have all the money for the project from the get-go. Where it's a much better model if they can sell a few of these units as they're building and create a larger project with more economies of scale, better quality, better price in that same location. But until now, it's been dominated by local developers because there's an inability for foreign investors to get into this market on the land holding, but also to sell to an end investor once they complete the apartment units. But we're seeing a shift, right? Which I'm going to talk about next. Some guys have been able to do it, create large-scale apartment offerings from foreign investments, but these guys are unique. For example, Kitaprong Landmark Apartments DRC. They're a hotel developer foremost. They're able to create a synergy between the residential and the hotel, which allows them to create that rental offering on such a large scale. But they're an anomaly in the market at the moment. But I believe that this is going to change pretty soon because foreign investors are going to be able to get in on building, developing high-rise condos, apartments, and be able to resell them under the new land law. Right? People are going to talk about this in more detail. I'm not the lawyer in this case. I want to talk more about what's on offer. So at the moment, until this point, foreign investors who are buying property in Laos basically are buying with quasi-legal structures but they don't care because they're buying to live in it. They're buying for the lifestyle. They're not buying for rental returns. They're not buying for the resale. So if they want to buy that villa and they want to put it in their wife's name or the nominee's name or hold the title without a name on it, whatever, doesn't really matter as long as they can control that for the 20 years that they're based in Laos with the NGO, or they've come here, they've married a Lao person and they plan to stay here for the rest of their life anyway, and they plan to be in that relationship for the rest of their life. So they're not thinking like investors, they're not thinking in terms of a return. So that's the shift we're about to see. Now we're starting to see in Lao structured high-rise investments aimed at pure investors. And these same investments are going to be very relevant to expats living here because all of a sudden you don't have to rent, you can buy, and there's some way that you're going to see that money come back over time. So this is a great shift, and this shift is coming in light of, you know, developers believing there's a strata title coming, or believing there's a revision of the land law coming, which is going to allow them to do this, right? So Kirrapong is a good example with the VLC project. So this project's gone up next to Ventian Centre. It's an investment condo within a mixed-use development, and this developer is selling immediately, but it's still under construction. So it's an off-plan sale with a guaranteed rental return and around 60-70-year leasehold structure, starting from $2,300 per square metre, right? So just to summarise this project, it's around $66,000 for a studio unit. They've got 6% guaranteed rental return for 10 years. That's 60% of your money back after 10 years. If you rented it for $500 a month for 20 years after that, you would generate another $20,000 USD return. So your $66,000 investment in 2020 resulted in around $140,000 profit, not including the next 20, 30 years on the lease or a resale, right? Whether or not these things are possible, we're not sure. So these projects will often have show units and sales teams in mainland China, Hong Kong, other Asian countries to allow pure investors to buy under the GRR. They may never come to Lao, right? They might buy from overseas, they might hold that investment for 20 years, they might flip it. There might be an investment firm in Hong Kong, they might buy 30 units now, and they might sell in a year time after the building ends and continue the project. So this is good for the market. This is good for the whole market to allow these developers to create these structures and allow international investors to push money into the project. Even if in the longer term, they may not be as well occupied because of the pure investment. They're still creating the property in country. They're creating rental opportunities for the expat market. They're creating rental opportunities for the local market eventually, if the prices can come down and even out over time. And we saw this in Cambodia for sure. There's no damage to the local market so much from these strata titles. The risk is on the foreign investor so much of the time. If everything goes badly and it falls apart, it's the foreign investors who hurt and lose the land. It's not the local partners. So I honestly believe that these strata titles are good for the economy. It's a good way to stimulate growth and milk foreign investment without damaging the rights of local landowners too much, or opportunities. So these investors are looking for country-wide growth trends, GDP growth trends, improvements in infrastructure and capital flows in the country and immigration. And these trends are very good in Lao. Hence why developers are looking for these products, and hence why buyers are starting to buy these products. Already this project is selling very well. So structured investments will create a cycle of investment, which developers are going to continue to follow. And we're starting to see the start of it. This is one project, but we've seen many more. So in Cambodia, these are some of the growth trends that attract property investors and have always attracted property investors. Special economic zone development, logistics improvements, US dollar investments, foreign ownership regulation, the ability to own property as foreigners, the ability to own businesses as foreigners, affordable labour, a growing middle class and consumer culture, open policies for businesses, political stability, languages that can be spoken, and tax incentives. And I think we can see already that Laos is starting to get a few of these things right. And if they haven't got them right just yet, they're starting to think about how they're going to fix them. So for these investors who are looking for greenfield markets to put their real estate investments moving faster than even markets like Thailand, Vietnam and Cambodia now, Laos might be the next stepping stone. And that's what these developers are getting ready for. And I believe that's what some of these legislation changes are playing to at the moment. So the Chinese are coming. And one thing to remember is that when we first see them coming behind the railway now, we're seeing the early capital flows. I did an interview with a property developer in Phnom Penh in 2017. At the time where the condo market, people were thinking that the condo market was in an oversupply from the Chinese developers and it was going to crash. So I asked him, and he said, you know, is there a real estate bubble on the way in the Cambodia condo market? In 2017, he said no. You know why? Because so far we've only seen the smaller funds come from China, around $5 to $10 million investments in real estate. But he predicted that now that the federal relations were very strong in Cambodia in 2017, and some of these developers had started to come into the country and were successful, he said we're going to start to see the federal funds, the larger funds of 200 to 600 million, to start to come into Cambodia and launch projects. And this was going to create a new phase in the market and new growth in the market, and also integration that China was bringing alongside was going to make sure that the rentals were there as well. And you know what? He was 100% right. Looking back on that, he was 100% right. In the years following 2017, whole new capital flows from China came to Cambodia, and they were huge compared to the flows that came before that, and they changed the market again. They created a whole new secondary market, a whole new first-tier market, and they brought a whole new level of development to the country in the real estate market. So I believe that we've only seen the very start of Chinese investment now, and this is going to become much more intensive, and it's going to have a huge effect on the real estate market. Right, some of the remaining issues, land issues. Okay, hopefully the land law is going to help a little bit with this. Valuation standards, lack of market data. This is somewhere where we really want to play in. We're a data source. We have the largest source of land data in Lao at the moment with HighRise.la. We've got over 10,000 data points. We're going to start to produce data around this. Hopefully we can work with government and banks on this as well. Finance gaps, credit record data. Obviously this is a problem for lending. Lack of information and transparency in the market for foreign investors. Again, this is somewhere we want to help. We'll be producing an investors guide very soon. We'll be producing a lot of content around foreign ownership regulations and how foreigners can invest in Lao moving forward. Okay, so I think all in all, the market's in a good place. We're going to see a lot of growth soon, and these are some ideas to think about, things that are going to come soon. All right, thank you very much for your time. And like I said, my Chief Operating Officer for Banlao, she's in the room, Ms. Nok Noi. Please reach out to her. Grab her business card. If you're looking to buy or sell real estate in Laos, we're the people to call. If you want to join our home and lifestyle event in December, give us a call, and you're always welcome up at our office in VNTN Centre, level 4. All right, thank you very much for your time today. Christy, Clemens, thank you so much for getting me involved. It's a pleasure. I'm sorry I couldn't physically be there. Have a great day, everyone, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the session. Thank you very much.